Hey guys, BugCat7 here. Okay, it is Tuesday, November 26, 2019, and I want to thank you for visiting the Stonewall Research Channel here on YouTube. Thank you very much. I really do appreciate it. Alright, guys, well, I was going through the accounts in Ohio about the quote unquote giants or large hominids, as I like to call them, state by state, and I was looking at the accounts and I just came across one that I felt it was necessary to sort of single out and take a harder look at because it more or less affirms or confirms what I've been thinking about the giants or large hominids for quite some time now. I had a couple of discussions with some of the subs who had also had the same thought about it, was that the giants or large hominids were plant eaters or herbivores or vegetarians. So we were kicking that around by the teeth, the reason for the teeth, the double rows of teeth, the big molars, etc., etc. So, and the simple fact that the Lovelock Cave people were called Tule eaters, Tule, which is an aquatic plant. And again, I thought it was awfully odd that they would be given some kind of moniker like that because, considering that they were cannibals, why not call them people eaters or, baby eaters or children eaters or whatever cockamamie story they dreamed up for these people? Remember, they made these reed boats to escape harassment by the Paiutes, okay? So if they were such, vicious warriors and horrible cannibals and, they were obviously more powerful, but I have explanations for that anyway. But why were they escaping on reed boats to avoid harassment? And they were tool eaters and not people eaters, okay? So, once people like, Ellie Marzulli and Steve Quayle got a hold of this information about the Lovelock Giants, they immediately associated with the Bible because the Bible had the same thing going on it with the giants and the cannibals. Look, the reason why my channel doesn't have thousands of subscribers is because I'm not with the category. First, I'm not with the skeptics, okay? The people who don't know nothing. This third party of people just, with the slightly more robust people, who don't believe in giants and never going to believe in giants. And it doesn't matter if they have actual data and information from the Smithsonian or any other institution. They're never going to believe it. Okay. Then you have the Nephilim people like the Steve Quayles and the L.A. Marzulli. It's all, angels came down and mated with women. Okay. Maybe the story's just allegorical to something else. Okay. Which I think that it is. Okay. Then you got the Anunnaki stories. Okay. So now we got the space aliens. Take me to your leader. Is she female? I want to mate with her. Whatever it is. See, my channel's not about any of those things. Okay, my channel is about the large hominids or quote unquote giants just being another species of humanoid. And apparently, there were many different types of these large humanoids in the past, okay, with all different kinds of physical features, okay. Look, folks, it's the past is more incredible and fantastic than even the Anunnaki stories and the Nephilim stories, okay. That's the reality of it, okay. The ancient past is more fantastic and unbelievable than any stories you're ever going to hear about Nephilim and Anunnaki and slightly more robust people, whatever the hell it is, okay? My channel's not about that, see, because I don't have thousands of subscribers because people love these sort of controlled opposition theories better they're more exciting. People wrote books on them, or skeptics, wrote what they wrote on. People prefer all this stuff because it provides them with some concrete answers. Okay, they don't want any open ends. People don't like that kind of stuff. Okay, you're not going to hear any of that on my channel. Okay, we're going for a different thing. We're going for the true past. Okay, there's no aliens involved or angels or slightly more robust people. Okay, these people are considerably bigger. Okay, including what the mainstream academics who got dispatched to do these digs and finds are recorded in the archives of these institutions. If you want to sit down and read them, like people like Fritz Zimmerman and Steve Quayle, and have all done to some extent. Okay, local histories, state histories, town histories, county histories, all of this stuff. Okay, so look, if that's, and I'm sure I lose some subscribers because that's what they expect. That's what they want. They want this whole sensationalized, controlled opposition theories that sound great, little green men or whatever the heck it is. Okay, you know what my theory about UFOs on the channel, I haven't really even elucidated on the whole thing. But I already went through this with sky beasts and atmospheric organisms, okay, things that live in space. Giant things, okay, that do some of the things or all of the things that the incredible animals on our very own planet do that are unbelievable, okay? They do all those same things, only in space, okay? Right? And it's not my theory, it's Constable's theory and, his involvement with Wilhelm Reich, a guy who was basically given a death sentence over his beliefs and died in jail because, they got him on some, petty thing because they didn't like his ideas. Okay? That's what all of these people would do because they want to keep on hearing about the Nephilim and the Anunnaki and the Stephen Colorado skeptic crap or whatever it is, okay, without taking a serious look at this stuff. Okay, so let's get to this article here, okay, because again, it's just an affirmation and confirmation of what I was thinking. These people were brainstorming it back then at a time where people were a little bit even more religious than we are, and no talk of Nephilim or cannibals, nothing of that sort, okay, so let's take a look at this. All right. I'll read it to you. And here's some drawings of the skeleton I was found. You can see the jaw protrudes somewhat. Okay. Saying jaw of prehistoric man found in Miami Valley, closely resembling a gorilla's skull, they say, because of the protruding jaw. It's just a different skull. Okay, a different phenotype, a humanoid. Okay, not a human being, a humanoid from the past. Okay, and you got to think about it, folks. So let's say these people existed during the Pleistocene. Okay, we certainly did. Okay, so look, these people existed during the Pleistocene when there was these larger animals, land animals, sea animals, some of them having, or most of them having, smaller counterparts today. Okay, and some of the smaller animals today existed back then too. So you have this other whole thing going on with the type of, this is a scientific word for it. I can't think of it right now, but in any case, these are the drawings of the skeleton that was found there. That was 8 feet 1.5 inches. The guy's not titling the article correctly. He says 8.5 inch, 8.5 foot skeleton. Okay, so let's get to it because it is absolutely an affirmation here for me. And again, these people, because of the fervor of it, and you can see from all of the states who do all of these accounts, Some of them looked at by professional academics, okay, and called for what it was, okay. But let's take a look at this. Gigantic body recovered. Skeleton belonged to a man 8 foot 1.5 inches high. The body of a man more gigantic than ever recorded in human history has been unearthed in the Miami Valley in Ohio. The skeleton, it is calculated, must have belonged to a man 8 feet 1.5 inches in height. It was found within a half-mile of Miamisburg in a locality which contains many relics of the mound builders. Edward G. Gebhardt and Edward Kaufman discovered it while they were working in a gravel pit. Okay, so something interesting to note here. Okay, guys, we heard about these burials, whether they be the mounds or wherever. Okay, take note because some of the larger skeletons, in my opinion, seem to be found in these gravel pits. We've heard of it in other states. I've already given accounts on. Okay, it seems that the really super big ones are found in these gravel pits. Then the other ones are found in clay, and yet other ones are found burned charcoal all around them. Okay, so you have these different styles and different types of burials going on. Just something to make note of interest to me. Okay, the position of the skeletal remains found in vaults as well. So this some ways that seem common, and it may reflect different time periods. Kaufman struck a hard substance with his pick and examining it found it to be a skull. When they unearthed the whole skeleton and finally realized its size, they were aghast. The skeleton was of prehistoric age, being fossilized. Its giant proportions present a puzzling problem to archaeologists. The old theory or tradition that there were giants in the early days of the earth has long been discredited. It is in fact and generally agreed that the prehistoric men were little dark monkey-like hairy creatures considerably smaller than those of the present day. This prehistoric giant seems evidence of the opposite state of affairs. He is clearly a man, and very well formed and very well proportioned, one as to the limbs. His skull is of extremely low order, but being but that a shade higher than of Pithecanthropus erectus found by Dr. Dubois in Java. It is far below that of the most degraded type. The prehistoric giant must have had a head not differing greatly from that of a gorilla. In stature, however, he was far bigger and also better formed. So the fact that they just saying it's like a gorilla is just saying how the skull is different. Okay? And we're not talking about a human being. Okay? We may be talking about the ancestors of the latter day giants or large hominids. Okay? The skeleton was found interred in an upright posture, with the knees doubled up and the skull dropping between them. The jawbone, now pay attention to this, okay? This is what they were kicking around back then. The jaw bones are intact and show that the possessor was patterned in the most powerful fashion. The teeth are models of beauty and strength of form. Dr. Harlan, a dentist of Miamisburg, examined the teeth and declared them to be as fine specimens as any he had ever seen. Other doctors have also examined the teeth and also the skeletons. It is the opinions of the scientists who have carefully inspected the skull that the man must have been a vegetarian, a root eater, as the teeth would not have been found in such perfect condition after the lapse of centuries had their owner been a masticator of meats. Okay? Not a meat eater. The molars appear to be as fit for use today as they were hundreds of thousands of years ago. So, they say hundreds of thousands of years ago. Who knows? They might be right. The lady from Michael Cremo's video found evidence of habitation some 300,000 years ago and then was dismissed immediately. The orbital plates are strongly marked, and the whole appearance of the skull is of the oddest. The body was not the only relic of interest to those engaged in scientific research found in the pit. A small flat stone about 3 inches long and 2 inches wide was discovered in the opening. It lay within few inches of the skull of the prehistoric man, as the local examiners insist the find should be termed. Okay, so it could have been an amulet of some type, which these large skeletal remains are often found with amulets, and including with William A. Ritchie up in New York, who I often refer to because I read his research, okay? Look, guys, I'm not a guy who just simply reads articles. I'm reading college research on archaeological digs and finds. I'm going through thousands of hours of reading and research to bring to you this information, or at least some manner of, expertise as much as I can gather, okay? And, look, I don't have the sheepskins and all that kind of stuff. You don't have to listen to me, but, look, I'm not fooling around here, okay? Through one end of the stone had been drilled a small hole, possibly intended to be used as a small opening for fitting the end of a handle or a necklace. It is pointed out by those who've had their theory of the species of the discovery question that the stone, so evidently the work of human hands, clearly indicates that the skeleton was that of a man and not a mammoth monkey. The bones have been placed on exhibition, and many are the curious sightseers who have passed in wonder before them. It is claimed by the residents of the Miami Valley that the prehistoric race once inhabited that region, and created the largest mound in the country, leaving there evidence of their presence, fragments of pottery and stone, and pieces of woven cloth made of bark. New York Journal. Okay, so they go into some other sorts of facts about this thing and everything. So just other articles. So this is 1899, January 21, from the Ohio Daily Telegraph. But the article, the other one, was from the New York Journal. Okay, so look, just like as I said, these people were brainstorming back then. They had these dentists and whoever professionals look at the thing, and this was their determination, okay? And it just so happens that I and a number of the other subs have been thinking about that as well. So, look, folks, let's just dispel this whole cannibalism thing. I don't care whether it's the Bible or anywhere else in the world, the Paiutes or any other stories, salmon ruins, Hove and Weep, whatever, okay? We have the evidence from Galena Canyon, okay? These people were more sophisticated, okay? They had greater knowledge, okay? They were builders, and they had knowledge of other crafts and skills that didn't even come later to Europeans, such as etching, for example, okay? Metallurgy skills, whatever they are, okay? They were superior to what we call the Native Americans in many of those ways, because the Native Americans didn't do any of those things, okay? Maybe he worked with the copper or whatever, but only small pieces, okay? So, and, the story about the Lovelock Cave people who were, quote-unquote, slightly more robust, which is an insult to everybody's intelligence, okay? They were people with a different phenotype, and none of this artificial cranial deformation, yes, that took place to the people who we know as human beings like us, who deformed their heads, but if you deform a head, you can't make it bigger. If I take a couple of boards and slap them on your head, it's not going to grow bigger. It'll get to another shape, but it won't grow bigger. Like the Adena with their vaulted cranials, the biggest brain capacity of anybody from the past, okay, and their relatives, the Beaker people in Europe, were probably all one people across the whole when the North American continent was closer to the European continent, or when the seas were much lower. You could just paddle across on a surfboard. Okay, so look, folks, there's a different story of the past. It has nothing to do with the Nephilim or the Anunnaki or slightly more robust. Okay, this is where we call it on this channel. Okay, and I'm sure a lot of people don't like it because it's not a History Channel presentation. But what do you want? You want the ugly truth here on my channel in the Joe's Garage fashion, or you want beautiful lies of the History Channel and L.A. Marzulli and whoever else, okay? Or Stephen Colorado. None of these people are telling the truth. And if the other stories are just controlled opposition, okay? There's a different picture of the past. It's more incredible than the Nephilim and the Anunnaki. It's just think about it, all right? These giants were plant eaters, root eaters, tool eaters, okay? They were vegetarians. That's hence the teeth. Either double rows, in some cases, more molars, okay? We kept on coming across of the jaws had more molars in them than Homo sapiens, okay? So it's humanoids. Not some relative of Homo sapien. It was a completely different line of people, okay, who were capable of interbreeding. Okay, and that's why we find people around the Black Sea are bigger and taller than most of the other people in the world. In certain places, okay, where we hear stories of giants. Scandinavia, the American Indians, the Plains Indians were among the tallest people in the world. In some cases, they weren't totally wiped out and they integrated with people here in the Americas and in Europe. And this is part of the story that they don't want you to find out about. Okay, including the fact that there were many types of these large humanoids in the past. Okay, not just one type. All right, and the appearance of corn just leads me to believe that somebody was monkeying around with genetics in the past. Okay, maybe sometime like 80,000 years ago, where they find identical pollen to modern popping corn. Okay, sometime in the past, there was a more advanced civilization, okay, who had flying machines and other kinds of things, okay, a different kind of technology that we can't even imagine based on different ways, okay? They took electricity, magnetism, whatever, and they did different things with them, like an alternative timeline, an alternative universe or something like that. That's why the alien things is so easy to picture. Okay, but this is the controlled opposition, folks. Listen to Budcat 7. I'm trying to give you the straight dope on this. Okay, nothing filtered out, nothing embellished, nothing. Just trying to get to the root of this. Okay, and as far as roots concerned, okay, the giants were vegetarians. They weren't cannibals. Okay? What's the most awful thing that you could say about these people? That they were cannibals. Okay? These weird and strange looking people who were bigger and probably more frightening, but because they came from the Pleistocene when the gravity was different that could support all these giant animals and giant people too, they were slower, were quicker. Okay? Human beings, when the gravity changed, it became still, human beings were still more agile. Homo sapiens was still more agile. But who knows where human beings came from, folks, okay? If somebody's messing around with genetics in the past, and it seems to be the story about what was going on, maybe all the human beings on Earth are like corn, okay? Just think about it, okay? If you know anything about corn, the videos I've done on them, corn can't live without humans, and somebody did that 8,000, 80,000 years in the past, something it would take